So if this is a part that you need to edit out and cut out later on, you can do that because no one knows no one. Yeah, beat him. I'm just kidding. Well,
I'm not very serious. I feel like that's when I'm supposed to step in.
But if I discipline my stepchild this way, am I disciplining my biological children that way too?
Because what happens when two multiracial couples dive into faith, family, and love? Legacy University is where real stories meet real conversations. Join us as we explore blended families, diverse backgrounds, and the moments that shape us. Let's grow together.
What's a phrase your spouse says that drives you crazy? All right, y'all got one to think about?
I have a few. No, I'm just kidding.
So while you guys are thinking,
I already know one. For me, it is like okay, I don't even know how to say this because the phrase is just the word but. It is. It's just the word but. And not like butt booty, but like but, right. You know. He'll say something like he agrees with you, but then it'll be like but afterwards. He won't say anything after the but. It'll just be like, yeah, I think that we could do it that way. But it's like
it's a butt and an exhale.
But and so that's one I can think of the top of my head.
So now we're gonna be listening for that. I got one for her. Same thing.
Not.
It's one word.
I knew you were gonna say.
You know which one it is?
But you do it too, so.
Oh, that's nice.
So let's hear it.
Yep.
No, that's
like YEP or YUP?
Is that it?
No.
I'm like, so is that the word? Because that's not the word I was thinking of.
What do you say? Right.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to say. Right. That's what he does, too.
No, I got it from her.
He says he picked it up off of me.
Yeah, I got it from her.
Give me context, though. Like,
so, it'll be anything. So, you start talking about anything. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Are you listening?
So
right.
So I was going to the store,
right,
and driving my car,
right.
So his not so much as much.
We're gonna be listening for that.
As it was,
right?
As it was in the beginning of the relationship, because I think I coaxed him out of it throughout the years.
Right.
You know what I'm gonna say? Everything. It didn't matter if it applied or not. His response would be, no problem.
No problem. Oh, that's the Jamaican.
All right, you have a good day. No problem. No problem. All right, you want cream or sugar? No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
But what do you want?
Oh, cream. Got it.
That's why I wasn't listening.
Yeah, no problem. I'm like, huh? All right, you have a good day, guys. No problem. I'm like, babe, it would be you too.
You too.
Not no problem. Doesn't apply in this situation. Oh, okay.
But,
all right, yours. Let's hear yours.
You know, so we got one word, two words, right? Mine's one word also, but it's proper. It's my name.
Proper?
Because if I hear Mark, there's a request coming.
Okay.
There's Mark. Mark. I want to be like, who's this Mark guy?
You don't like me saying your name?
He knows what's coming after it.
I've told you.
Mark.
Although you say that, I don't like him saying my name.
Oh, have you seen that thing?
Melody. And I'm like, who is Melody? I never call him Thomas or Benji. It's never that. It's always babe.
It's got to be babe.
Yeah.
Honey, sweetie.
Baby daddy.
Pudding pop. Baby daddy. So, I won't never. That's cute. I've never liked the term baby daddy.
I know, I don't either.
Do you know that that's interesting? Because I have a group of friends that don't mind saying baby daddy. And I have a group of friends that are like, nah, never.
No.
It's not going to happen.
I'm always like, baby's father, baby's mother,
Yeah,
but,
no, but if
but
you're,
when I'm being
he doesn't
funny
care.
and loving, like,
Yeah.
my baby daddy.
Yeah. You don't care.
No.
Yeah. It's usually the woman. It's me. I'm like,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be called baby.
I ain't got no baby daddy.
Come here, baby mama. No, don't call me that.
I ain't got no baby daddy, right?
Oh man.
No, but
That's why I hate, like, our friends that have kids but they're not married, and you don't really, or you don't want to say boyfriend, it's your boyfriend, but you don't want to say like your kid's dad, because I guess
it flows so much easier when you just say baby daddy.
Right. Well,
society made us say baby daddy.
Baby mama.
BM.
That's something that
I am not your baby mama. You did not refer to me to that.
So everybody took notes of that, so we'll be listening for that.
Mm.
Well, I do got a new phrase that I say all the time now.
Yeah, I was gonna use that one.
And yeah, it's you can't make this stuff up. You can't write this. It'll be something like that. And
if it's crazy enough.
Was it yesterday? We were driving all day while we were working, and it was like something crazy happening like every 30 minutes on the street. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were seeing like all kind of crazy stuff going on. And we saw like a guy in the one lane when we were going to your mom's house, 1 lane street. He was riding the shoulder to like pass a guy and stuff.
That's crazy.
Just a lot of.
It was just
circumstances were about to
like wrecks.
And
just all kind of.
We need to get off the road today.
Yeah,
let's take a break.
You can't make this stuff up.
You can't make this stuff up.
Like what we doing outside? I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be outside.
Right, we need to go home now.
Right,
get out the car.
I think there's a comedian.
Where's our bell?
Phrase.
Baskets.
Oh God, let me get them.
The comedian that did what? You can't make this stuff up? Yeah, they just don't say stuff.
That up.
Who's this one?
That's my
Mark's.
school bell. That's my Little
Dinner
House on the
bell.
Prairie school bell.
Speaking of, did you guys like the Little House on the Prairie?
I did not like it. I loved it.
I was trying to FaceTime. You would have loved it even better.
I know.
I mean, I got to pet a donkey. I was eating some grass.
I saw the donkey. I saw your baby petting the
And I was
donkey.
surprised that she wasn't scared. She's scared of our dog, but not a big donkey. You know.
Wow.
How far is that from home?
10 minutes.
That's
about 10, 15
amazing.
Well, from my
Wow.
mom's house.
So you were running down that hill too. Well, that hill was in Minnesota, but still.
We skimmed through that first episode.
Yeah.
We skimmed through that first episode.
Gotta go to the first episode.
The lady was like, "We're almost to Independence."
Yep.
I was like, they said it.
Yep.
Oh,
That's
they
what I
said
said
it.
to him. I was like, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
I was trying to figure out, because now they have, I don't know if you saw on the sign, it was like in such and such year, from this year to this year, they had the schoolhouse.
And then Carrie was born.
Yep. And then they had what else? The post office or something, was it?
Wait, where's
I
my...
have to look.
Oh, my phone is... I thought, wasn't it you that sent me in 1871, Carrie was born here. Between 1869 and 1870, they lived there. And then, I don't know the one after that. I stopped at Carrie because we had a whole conversation with the kids because the kids were like, Grace?
Because they've been watching it
Grace
too.
is from the Little House on the Prairie. I'm like, Grace came later. Grace is the baby.
Carrie was born August 3rd, 1870.
70. It's close.
In 1872, that's when they built the Sunnyside School, and then in 1885, the Wayside Post Office.
Wow.
And they built the home. They lived there from 1869 to 1871, so just a couple of years. But during that time is when Carrie was born.
Yeah, I tell you what, they would have stayed there too, but.
Yeah, why did they move?
Well, according to the episode, it was because the Native Americans owned that portion of land
Congress
in Kansas.
drew the line and said everything below this parallel is Native American territory.
So they built all these cool things, and then they were like, they had to leave.
And then they had to abandon it. Yeah,
The tractor and everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Gotta watch the first episode or second episode. I think it's the first.
Tractor. You didn't have a tractor.
They did. He just got
Or
one.
plow.
Plow. Yeah, plow.
With horses. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Tractors. Man,
back then?
They had
Yeah, I
gasoline.
drink.
They had gasoline for that
I
tractor.
keep touching this thing. I keep touching this. Sorry. Keep touching your mic.
All
Okay,
right.
Benji, I know you're ready to.
So,
Sorry, I was switching something.
no, yeah, we're good. So we're about to get a little bit serious. Kind of lighten up the mood. Now I'm about to get serious. Ready for this one?
Ready or not?
All right. Who should discipline the stepkids? The step parents or the bio parents?
I think both.
I think both. What
Yeah.
do you think?
What do you think?
I think both. I would probably say I would more want the bio parent to discipline more. I mean, I could be wrong. This is my opinion. Because, all right, for example, I feel like I am like the disciplinary guy in our relationship. Like, I'm always like, I kind of like try to run a tight ship, and probably need to relax a little bit, but probably because of the way I was raised, kind of gives me that, I guess, way of, I guess, treating the kids, whether it's right or wrong. I guess it'd be a matter of opinion, but the way I look at it on the I guess the stepdad side of it is because I'm like that, I'm always disciplining. So sometimes I might discipline the kids and then think about it later, like, was I too hard? Was I going too hard or whatnot? And because of that, I'm not the one that, like, she plays with the kids. She does like the arts with the kids. She takes them places and stuff like that. So when I'm the one that's like punishing them or disciplining them, not that she doesn't, but when I'm the one doing it, I don't want them to feel like, well, he's only around to tell us what to do or what not to do. And, well, you're not my biological parent, so at some point I might not have to listen to you, you know. But,
Does that happen
But I
yet?
don't think the kids would say that or
yeah, it
do
wouldn't
that.
say. I think it's more of
it's
the
more
mind
mentally
and
yeah,
mentally,
because they don't
yeah.
look at me as the disciplinary because it's mixed in with the fun stuff, I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Whereas he doesn't do as much of the fun stuff, so he might come off as just strictly the disciplinary in the kids' eyes. But I feel like also, like you're saying, that's how we kind of grew up. Everybody's scared of dad, and mom's the softie or whatever.
But then you throw in the step part.
The step part, and
it complicates
That's the part.
it.
That's what we're. Yeah, that's
Right,
really
right.
the part. As what are the Do you say anything when like because he thinks he might be disciplining hard? I understand that, right? Because
Yeah.
I grew up under the same parentage
Household,
that
yeah.
you did,
Yeah.
in a way, So
right.
do you ever like say anything? We're gonna get to this because we actually just talked about this today in this
Yeah.
Okay.
space, right? In this space before you got here. And so do you ever say to him, like, you could have gone easier, or do you say anything, or do you just kind of let it?
No, I mean, I'm sure we always talk about if there is something that we're not agreeing with, I just try not to do it in front of the kids or contradict, what he's saying. Like, if he's getting on to one of them, I'm going to say, oh, don't get on to them. I might tell him later and we might talk about it or something, but I don't want to come off as undermining him. And, especially like with our oldest, his dad's not been in his life for, decades. So this is his dad,
that's right.
So, I don't know, but being like the stepdad, obviously there's still, like he's saying, he don't want to, be the only one disciplining him, and because he's the oldest, feel like, oh, he doesn't ever, he just gets on to me all the time.
Yeah. For example, the way I'll discipline is, I'll discipline him to where it feels like you're not affecting me, you're affecting your mom.
Like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Like, for example, he's doing some.
Any one of them will do
I'm just
something.
going to throw something out hypothetical, just for the sake of our conversation. But you're doing something. I'm like, what was that?
Yeah, I'm where's the bell coming from? Oh gosh.
Like,
Hold up now. Let's make up some different names now. Let's.
so he
Now.
he may do something. Maybe I don't know. For example, we're like, he felt we had a conversation before we went into church, and we're like, you're falling asleep in church.
Yeah.
You need to stay up. It doesn't look good. Things of that nature. We have the conversation before we go into church, and then we get into church, and what do you think happens?
He's tired.
Yeah. So he's tired.
I mean,
Right.
he's tired.
He's just so tired.
Right.
He cannot just keep his head
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Just look ahead, but
And
He's bored. I don't know what
he
to
was
tell
up all
you.
night with kids, I
That's
guess.
the thing.
So
No, really.
we let it go.
It was those 3 o'clock feedings.
I mean, what are they doing? It's like, when.
So church is over. Obviously, I don't address it until we get back in the car.
No, but I agree with you. You shouldn't be falling asleep in church. I know we just made a joke out of that, but I agree.
Yeah,
Right.
Because that was the conversation afterwards. Was we work all day. We got kids. We got all this stuff going on, but we can find time to stay up for 45 minutes,
Mhm.
no
Yeah.
matter what. So
Like, you can go
Yeah.
home and take a nap if you want. We don't have that luxury even,
Yeah.
but you can stay
Yeah.
up for 45 minutes in church.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
When we're on the front row and,
Oof. Not the front row.
even the front row.
Yeah.
Not the front row.
Come on.
Well, Well, at least the preacher's on video and
Heather.
you can't see your back.
Exactly.
Y'all got Heather, right?
The campus pastor is not. And he's
Right,
looking
right.
at us.
You guys have Heather.
No.
No.
They're at Overland Park.
We've got
Oh,
Oh,
Jared.
that's right. Who is it? Overland Park.
Jared.
Okay. Yeah. I
So
don't think I know that person.
but the way I'm explaining it to him, like, your mom didn't just tell you to blah blah blah. Like, you kind of hear what I lit it with.
Right.
Your
Mhm.
mom, like, you're
Shouldn't
disappointing
have
her.
to
Yeah.
tap on you every
Your
5
mom-
minutes.
Oh, okay.
Your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom. Like, why would you do this? And she, like, So that's how I do it.
Yeah.
Versus directing it at just straight. I can't believe you did that. So I'll kind of direct it to where I'm making him think I'm disappointing my mom more of me, because maybe he may feel a little bit more concerned about it if it's her he's disappointing and not me.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how I
and
direct him.
and you're okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, because usually that's my window too. Then I start chiming in and telling him how I feel. And
So it's a tag team.
Sort of. Which
I like
now
it.
that we're talking about it, I'm kind of like,
And we've got
should we not always tag team on him? But I don't know.
I don't know.
I know
But
it's
Everybody
maybe
has
that's
different
why-
parenting
yeah.
styles,
Or
right?
maybe that's why it happens, because, like, sometimes, I mean, it's not an argument to where it's like serious, but we may get into the, and she may be like, you need to step in when I said something to him or something. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm the guy who steps in when it's up here. When it's this serious, I feel like that's when I'm supposed to step in. If that's wrong or right, it's just how I was raised. Like, my mom could always talk to me and discipline me, but if it ever got to the point where she felt like she had a really inkling of, I don't think he's listening,
Hmm.
that's when I had a phone call from my dad.
Yeah.
And it changed.
Yeah, changed.
So I that's probably how I was raised,
Mhm.
how I think. Like, I'm not going to tell him to go pick his socks up off the ground. And you should be able to tell him, and he does it. But if it got serious to where he got up and told you, no, I'm not picking him up, then I might,
What you
hold on,
said?
Yo, what? Like, I'm alert,
Red alert. Yeah.
Whether that's the best parenting style, like I said, we don't know.
Well, I think sometimes too it might be me having a conversation in the car with him, and I'm laying it all out or whatever, but because he's not there and he didn't see it, he don't know what happened,
Mhm.
and then he might think, well, I'm the only one that's ever getting on to him, and I'm like, no, actually, I just got done having this conversation with
Yeah.
him, on the way to work or whatever, and so, it's just making sure.
How old is he?
He just turned 17 a couple weeks
There's
ago.
that part too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That plays into all the
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
Not a bad kid. Just,
Yeah.
just the normal stuff.
17-year-old.
But he is on the edge of
You only got a little bit of
Adult.
time.
Yes,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Right.
Yeah, beat him. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Well.
He got plenty of beats, I'm sure.
No.
Just kidding.
But like,
Never touched him.
listen, the Bible's okay. See, that's what's so interesting about this
Yeah.
conversation because we don't either. And here's the thing: it's like the Bible says, and people can debate about it. Like the God did not mean,
Right.
physical discipline, but it literally says in Proverbs. We just talked about this too. What
Mhm.
was it?
The heart of a child
It's full with
is full of foolishness, right?
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
physical discipline to remove it far from him.
and if you love them,
So
it also says if
Yeah.
you love them, you'll discipline them.
Right.
Because but the world is seeing it differently, like society or maybe the United
Yeah.
States culture. I'm not sure
Right.
what it is,
Yeah.
but I mean there's a line between beating your child,
Right.
and getting abused, which
Right.
we could speak to,
Right.
and
Yeah.
just like a spanking,
Exactly. Yeah.
and we joke about it all the time, like beat him, and like we gonna beat your feet, girl, and the kids will be like beat your feet, beat your feet, and they don't. It's not serious to them, but
Right.
like back in the day, I
Right.
mean,
we're not doing a dance to it.
they doing dances to it. We weren't dancing to it,
Man.
getting welts.
Yeah.
all that, and they don't even know, and that's why there's a lot of these issues going on in the homes and in the schools. It's like because parents can't control their kids a certain way anymore because some people ruin it for everyone.
Right.
And
right.
then the teachers certainly can't control them. They
Right.
call the parents and they're not respecting their parents. And so,
Right.
you really just got to take things away from them at this point.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that goes. But when it comes to, what do you think about the question?
Yeah, so I mean there are so many dynamics in it, and so are you in a are you in a household, are you in a household where there's his, hers, and ours, right? So there's that dynamic. There's the dynamic that you mentioned is the other biological parent part in the relationship. Have they, or are they just gone, or have they never, they
Right.
just abdicated or whatever and just got out or whatever like that, or are they really into it, and do they live with you full time and all, so there's
Right.
all these different
Dynamics.
different things that, and I think the thing that really I'm on would be consistency. Because Benji, as you were talking, I was thinking about, okay, so if I discipline a stepchild this way, and I'm gonna use that term loosely, just
Right.
because we know the relationship, but
Right.
but it doesn't define the love. But if I discipline my stepchild this way, am I disciplining my biological children
Right.
that way
Right.
too? Because then that can create some craziness
Mhm.
between the kids, right? And then you touched on it, Melody, about the backing one another, and I think that does say a lot if there's the cross discipline. So the question was, biological only, or who should do it, and
Right.
the step parent or both or whatever. And I think it's, for me, it would be cross. It's both. And my reasoning for it is coming back to how the children see you.
Right.
They don't see you. They do see you as mom and dad, but they should see you as Christ sees you. You're one. You know, you are one. And I don't throw that around as a cliche. You know, I mean, I believe very strongly is, you know, you two, when you got married, you became one. You literally are one. So you know what? If dad's hand is hitting me, or if dad's mouth is going, it's just the same thing as mom's mouth is going. I mean, so you almost have to get that across to them.
Right.
But it does say a lot, though, too, if a step parent does do a discipline, and the biological parent, who's been there longer, backs them up.
Yeah. Right.
So here's a question that doesn't need to be answered right now, unless we want to go down that road. But what if one of them's disciplining them and the other one doesn't agree? How does that work?
Right.
I mean, we don't have to answer that one yet. I mean, we can.
I can speak to that because I think it was my turn anyway.
Right.
And so this happens, and I'm sure it happens in all of our households. I'm sure it happens in all of your households. Yeah. It's just so I think we are definitely, or I speak for myself, I'm a product of my environment, right? And so and being in Christ in this stage of my life has changed my life in a way where I'm not I don't really want to argue much. I don't mind a confrontation. Like I don't run from confrontation. I think it's healthy, you know, but I don't want to argue it, like, and there's a word that I'm going to say that's very kind of like, it triggers me in a way where I almost kind of like, I get feelings of anxiousness, anxiety. Right. I don't want to argue, you know, I'm not trying to be combative or anything like that. And so I'm thinking that being in Christ and also being a product of my environment and things and my experiences with my children, I am a bit of a mama bear in the way that that they're raised. And I think also that lends to the fact I've had 3 miscarriages. And so I think that also may have played a role in how I am with the children that came from my belly, because they're our children. And it's just, I kind of, when that happens and I disagree, if it's to the point where I feel like it might create, and I also look to the history. How has it been? We have older children, stepchildren. I have older children that are like in their 20s. Okay. All of them in their 20s. The 3 of them are in their 20s. And so I look to that history too. Like, how was that? How did they come up? How are they acting now? What is the situation? What is the relationship with their father? Or, you know, all of those things play into it. So if there's ever a situation where I feel like the kids are getting disciplined in a way where I think might be down the road create bad habits for them, or for lack of a better word, like I want my daughter to marry a man that's going to treat her the way God wants him to treat her. You know, I want my son to be a man of God that's going to be a good example in his home. Right. Lots of times it's how they're being raised, you know, and those are like foundational ages right now that they're with us. And so if there's a time, I wish I could be more like you. Pray for me, because I do. I want to be more like this, where it's like I could take you to the side, and we have done that. We've spoken to each other on the side without the children, but there have been times where I feel like, oh, this is gonna be a problem. You know, I think we need to have an open communication about what's happening right now, all of us together, you know, and why this is happening. And I hope I'm not sounding like I'm all over the place, because I am trying to be honest with you. I don't want to like throw my husband under the bus, nor do I want him to throw me under the bus. You know what I mean? So I'm being very purposeful with my words, very, very conscious with my every word I'm saying. But yes, it is. There have been times where I don't like the way that they're being disciplined or they're being spoken to, and he might feel the same way. I do not discipline my stepchildren, my 3 older ones. They're kind of older, and when they were with us, it was with mom and their biological mom and us. So they never really lived with us. And I really would want him to step in because they were teenagers.
But not to cut you off, but what you're saying is true, I believe. I would just, because we're both sitting here in our relationships, I would say it probably happens in 90 to 95% of relationships, because we go through the same thing. Like, we would be lying if we said we weren't. And for example, same thing you just said, you just opened up the door for me, is maybe she notices it, maybe she doesn't. But I don't discipline our stepkid or my stepkids like I do mine, and I don't I guess the way I'm saying it as, they get the same treatment, but like the youngest girl that's mine, I have no issue at all spanking her on her butt and telling her to go sit down,
Mm-hmm.
and if she's crying, so be it. If she ended up crying about it or whatever. The other one that's right above her, that's not my biological. She probably could attest to it. I've never turned around and spanked her on her butt. Never have.
But it says not biological, but he's been there since
He's
in my belly.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought. Let me
feel-
tell you what.
Yeah.
Before you said that,
Yeah.
I mean, I knew before this.
Yeah.
This is not the first time finding this out. This is not the first time we're finding this out. But before
Right.
you told us initially,
Yeah.
no one knows in this family.
Yeah. No one knows.
Right.
So if this is a part that you need to edit out and cut out later on, you can do that, because
it's
no
fine.
one knows I want to tell you, no one knows. Okay. And if there is someone that knows, it's because you told them. Right. And there's no shame in it, because girl,
Yeah.
I get into all that in there. Right.
No, you're fine.
But and this part you might want to cut out, because I'm going to say something, because those 2 children are so close in age
Mm-hmm.
that I, and I know you didn't come here for therapy because I'm not a therapist, but they're so close in age that if the younger one sees that you're not spanking the one above her, there's going to build a resentment between those two kids. They're too young. They're all yours. They've all lived with you. None of my stepchildren lived here. They never lived in this house. I'm gonna tell you what, though, if they did live in this house, I would have no problems.
But here's
Whatchamacallit? Disciplining them. Yeah.
But here's the part that I was getting to was, and this is for me, I feel like it's okay to keep it, because it kind of leads into this part that I'm talking about. Is my mind consciously is like, if something was to come up or happen later, I want to be able to say, no, I did not,
Like what? What do you mean?
Just like being able to say, well, you hit me, or you abused me, or something, or whatever that nature. I want to be like, I've never laid hands on you.
We all say it anyway.
Yeah.
But Amina could say that just as easy as that's what I'm saying. What's the difference?
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it might be a mindset of like my consciously
I get
thinking
it.
like, this one's mine. I'll you know how
she can't
some
run
people
and tell
talk.
anybody.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
They
Versus
might
the
anyway.
stepkid, she's
Yeah.
gonna go tell her dad, and then he might have a problem.
Okay.
With it or whatever.
That's right,
right.
because he is in the picture.
Right.
Right.
That's
right.
the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense
So
to
it's
me.
not-
And a little
It's
with
not
me and Nahima, not as much because I've been in her life since she was 3. And
That's right.
We have that relationship.
Yep.
But also, of course, in the back of my mind, I might think, oh, her mom might not
Mhm.
like that. So let me just back off, or whatever, because like he's.
But
I
in
wonder
her-
what do we
saying-
do in those situations? Do you have a
Yeah.
conversation with the mom? Do you sit down and talk with the dad?
Well, that's the weird part, is because we're okay with
Doing that.
like if she needs to discipline my daughter, my oldest, in a way that she disciplines the all the other ones, I'm fine with it. I don't know what's going on in her mind about it, but I'm fine with it. The same thing she shows me is, if I need to discipline any of the kids in any way, whether it's the same or not, whatever, she's okay with it. So we don't, I guess, run into that issue of having to talk to the other side, because other than the oldest, all the other ones are in the house.
Yeah.
They live with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, none of the outside noise can really come into the house.
That's nice.
Yeah. So.
That's nice.
But it's just it's just a mind thing of.
Yep. I can tell you with the two that live here that are here, they, even though they're both raised the same, there's one that goes, oh, you don't like, he never gets as in trouble as I do, so you might still go through that.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's just that's not true. I mean, a lot of it's because one doesn't talk back as much as the other one
Exactly,
does.
right.
Yeah.
Because I think even our, Anaya and Amina, she'll say, well, Daddy got on to me about something, but, he didn't say, and I'm like, well, that's, you're older, and, try to
And you
explain
handle
to
it
them.
differently.
Yeah,
they
right.
they
You
they
discipline
handle
all
it.
kids differently depending on their age, and,
Yeah, I mean, there's age, and there,
Right.
I mean, so yeah, and we often talk about this, right? And Joanna reminds me, and she probably reminds me more than I do her, but she remembers that Scripture teaches us that every child has their own bend, right? Like an
Right.
arrow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Each arrow has its own little bend, and so if you're
Right.
shooting this arrow at that target, you know that you need to ank it this way a little bit. If you're
Okay.
shooting this arrow, so and
Right.
that's the difference,
Right.
Some kids, you give them a stern look, and whew,
Exactly.
just-
they're
yeah,
they're going to the altar and saying,
Right.
oh,
we
whatever.
have one like that.
But other
Yeah.
kids, I
Oh, you
mean,
can tell them
and I had
10
siblings
Yeah.
like that too.
Yep. All the things.
My dad would wear his hand out, and the
Right.
child
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where the Scripture says you'll remove it far from him, he was just like, man, I gotta
I
switch
can't
to the left.
Oh, yeah.
But there is
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
if I can touch for just a little bit, and then we'll pop off, or not pop off,
We can pop
but
off.
jump
Pop
off. I'm not gonna pop
Jump
off.
off.
There we go.
You said something that caught my ear when you're saying you're disciplining the older child and showing him that, hey, this is disappointing your mom, right? So I do want to throw in on that, again, it's the bend of a child, right?
Right.
So, and it's where the child is spiritually. So if you're dealing with a child that is born again, that's saved, right? That's going to be different than a child that has not confessed Christ or has not come to Jesus, right?
Right.
So if you are, and this is where I was going to go with it, so if you are disciplining a child and that child, is walking with Jesus, right? And is professed. So I would look at it and saying, you know what, this is about your relationship with God. And try to keep it off of your relationship with another human, whether it be mom or dad or grandpa. This is gonna really upset grandma. Like, well, oops. But I mean, that could change,
Right.
on that. But God never changes, right?
Yeah.
And their relationship with them. So, or you could add that to that
Yeah.
in addition to doing
mic.
that. So, but yeah, as far as it's this is your relationship with God. I mean, sin interrupts that relationship.
Yeah.
The great news is, asking for forgiveness and confessing it. Boom, you're back in that relationship. And He's always going to be your Father. If you're a believer. But sin does interrupt that relationship. So just reminding it.
I mean,
Anyway.
that could even work with the sleeping in church. It's
Right.
not. It's not about looking
Right.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I get it,
Yeah.
because it's like, come on, man.
Right.
You know, we're in the
It's
front
like-
row,
it's
bro.
like 30, 45 minutes.
That's what I told. It's like
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't dare try to fall asleep in church. You know, growing up,
Right.
know,
Yeah.
with our parents. So
We acted up in church,
Man.
but
Yeah.
I didn't fuck well.
Well, that back pew,
I might have went to the back and fell asleep.
that back pew, though. Churches were different though.
Yeah, but
growing
it
up,
was, it's
you know,
different.
it was different. It definitely wasn't. I don't know.
well,
it
and
was
for me,
just
it's
fun.
like,
Tell you
this
what.
is fun and like exciting.
It is
He's
fun.
like, you know,
It's dark.
enthusiastic. Like, how are
Fights.
you sleeping? Like, if just
Yeah.
try to give it a try and listen, and you know,
Maybe he's
Wow.
tired.
But it and
What's
it's
he
not
doing the night
always
before?
That's
Not
the
to
thing,
answer
it's
that.
like,
Don't
you know,
answer
You
that.
could have 8 hours of sleep
And still be
still
tired.
But it's
suddenly get
even
into
beyond
church
that
and
too.
be
It's not just
tired.
sleeping, right? It's even their what their position is.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean, because they can be wide awake and just be like doing nothing, right? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
or we're singing or whatever like that,
Uh-huh.
and they're just like, you know. So,
Right.
A lot
I
of the
mean,
youth
so-
are like that.
but it's really about what is it? What's the phrase? Shepherding a child's heart,
Right.
right? You know, so it's more than the external. It's getting at to where's your heart at?
Right.
You know, why don't you have that desire
Right.
to be involved in worship or involved in the teaching or trying to see, hey,
Right.
what's this teaching have for me?
Right.
You know, so
Man.
Sometimes they don't know the answer to that question either.
yeah,
They don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
And
and
their
they might
brains
give
are
you a
also not fully developed until they're 25
they
or
might
so.
give you a shrug shoulder and say,
I don't know.
That's why I was
Oh,
sleeping.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
right.
okay, well, let's talk. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
because I think you've asked one of ours that question, and they did not have an answer for you. Like, I don't know. You know, and it's like, okay, well, all right, let's then. I mean, and then you want to say, well, when pray, talk to God, maybe you know He'll give you an answer. But you really do have to help them,
Help them,
coach
yeah,
them, like
yeah.
teach them, show them, because they don't know the
Yeah,
answers
Right.
to some of these questions. Some
Yeah.
kids get it.
Mhm.
You know, they just like kind of get it, and they're just like all in for Jesus.
mhm.
So some adults too, as soon as they get saved, all in for Jesus, just like on fire. And some people,
Some
it's a
are just-
slow burn. Like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
kind of we get there. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
we're all on our journey. We really
Yeah.
are.
Hey y'all, thank you for watching. We really hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you have notifications turned on and you click the bell so that you can be informed of all things Legacy University as soon as they drop. Click the link above if you want to see our next video and comment below so that we can stay connected. Follow us on all social media platforms and we can't wait to see you soon.